This is Needy and Normal. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After years of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for living your best life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. You're not needy. It's normal. Let's get into it. Not only are we overstimulated these days, but we're overscheduled. This episode is going to take you through 5 different situations and solutions for kind of breaking free of those hustle, cram it in, cutting it close moments that we all do as parents. And as good parents, we're trying hard. It's a lot, but we might be in the it's too much phase. And so I want to walk us through some alternatives. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you pushed play. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming and listening to the show. If you've been here before and you've been listening for a while, I appreciate you coming back and being loyal. If you haven't had a chance yet, new or not new, please leave me a rating and a review. It really helps the show. It helps these topics get in front of more ears, and I'd really, really appreciate it. So let's get into it. So personally, more recently, I've realized that when I have multiple things crammed into one day or one weekend or one week, and it's kids to have different activities or I have different activities, and I'm trying to do all the things, right? And I think I'm so aware of how much it might be, and then I have these moments where at the end of the weekend or the week or whatever, I think, good Lord, why? It was a lot. What am I doing? And I do have to kind of stop and reassess and think about whether or not how I plan things out or how I'm scheduling things or what I'm saying yes to is too much. And I realize, especially in talking to other friends and parents that I know and don't know, like just conversations, amongst other parents in different scenarios, like we're all kind of in that. So if you're in the age range of young to older children, just kids at home, and you're still chauffeur, you're still mom and dad van, and whether you drive a van or not, but you're the one taking the kids all over the place. You're in that kind of parent hustle culture. And we live in a time where we're overstimulated, we're overly compared because of how much information is out there on social media. We have access to AI and, TVs in our hands with our phones, and it's just constant. So we're constantly being stimulated and we're constantly being challenged to keep our kids busy. And I think we keep coming across this new so-called bad thing about allowing our kids to be bored. We have to keep them entertained. We have to keep them busy. We have to keep them active. We don't want them to get in trouble. So we got to do all the things. And there's no space. There's no coming up for air. There's no breathing. There's no, you probably have done this. I've heard this from friends. I've said it myself. Randomly, all of a sudden, you'll be like, oh my goodness, we don't have anything to do tonight. Oh, wow, Saturday, there's nothing on the calendar. And instead of knowing that's coming, that space, that let down, that relaxed day, that moment where you don't have things overly scheduled, instead of knowing that's coming or purposefully putting it in your schedule, it's kind of like there's this thing coming up randomly that you didn't expect. Otherwise, you would have just continued to be in overdrive and overcapacity and just gone on hyperspeed continuously. What are we doing? It's too much. And as much as I love coaching and teaching people through making better plans and working in balance and self-care, whatever, like we're all human beings, and even I'm guilty of losing track of that. But let's come back. Let's breathe. Let's just take a minute here, okay? It's a lot. It's a lot. And you know what? Even our kids notice. You may have heard your kids say something like, oh my gosh, we have something to do tonight. Oh, what are we doing this weekend? Can we just chill? Can we just be at home? And I get it. I have the same fears of, well, if we're at home and we have nothing to do, they're going to watch TV. They're going to get on their iPads. They're going to play video games, blah, blah, blah. Like we all have the same judgments of our own children and of our own parenting and what we allow to happen. Yeah, we need some limits. We need to keep track of some stuff. But I know we have this collective fear of, if we don't schedule stuff, that they'll get bored. They won't be entertained, or they'll do things with their time that is lazy or unproductive or judgment worthy, because we're still so bad at the comparison game. And a lot of that comes from, yes, people you associate with or come across throughout various activities in you and your kids' lives. But it's also social media. It's also what you see on TV and on your phone and scrolling and all this thing. And so the comparison game is it's still high. And so I want to offer just a few, actually, I think there's 5 tips that go along with these things in a very real way. And I'm going to follow along with this too. These are things I've tried to practice and organize more and more myself. But the more I hear about this stuff through my clients, through my friends, other parents, the more I'm like, whoa, we got to reassess. We got to let our kids be bored more. We got to find different things for them to do so they can have some downtime. Damn it, we need downtime. It's too much. And this kind of came up. I put a post out on Instagram on ABL Life Coaching. That's my coaching page, about this cutting it close culture. And you can think about this scenario in your own life where you take one kid to something and then you have to be like, okay, I'll be back. And you run to the other kid, pick them up or drop them off. And then you come back and get the other kid. Then you have to go back and get the other kid, and the back and forth and back and forth. And usually it's like within an hour or 30 minutes, and you're cutting it close. Or I had this scenario where the kids get off the bus because I'm trying to get my work day done, but I need them to take the bus. They get off the bus, but they have stuff like right after that. So I'm like, okay, hurry up, go pee, get a snack, drop your bag, get your water, blah, blah, blah. And you're cramming things in so you can get out the door and get on to the next thing. And I had a big realization as we were coming into this next school year. So here, I'm recording this in early November. And so the kids went back to school in the fall, right after Labor Day. And I remember being very thoughtful in how we plan and put things on the calendar. So I wasn't having those frantic rushing moments. I thought, if there's a day where I can schedule things differently, where I could pick them up from school and then they can have an extra 30 minutes before we have to leave to do the thing, I'm going to give them that, because gifting that to your children also gifts that to you. And if you're like me and you're on your own a lot, and on your own or not, whether you have someone helping you or not, the hustle is intense. And unless you have this like perfect system down, and nothing's perfect, it can get a little scrambly and it can feel like a lot of pressure. And so if you're feeling hurried as a parent, what do you think your kids feel? They feel hurried too. And so it's tough sometimes to pull ourselves aside and basically reteach ourselves how to do this thing. But my hope is that you counter the fear of not doing enough. Counter the worry of, is my kid going to be bored or entertained enough, with some balance, some space, taking back some control. We feel very driven by other people's schedules. I think especially as like a people pleaser, as a doer, as someone who really wants to try hard, parent in the workspace, wherever, it's more natural to be like, well, this is what works for them. I got to get it together and make that happen for them. And we feel bad or guilty about turning it back on us and being like, well, let's think about what works for me and for my family. And granted, there's always this, right? I still hear, a lot of, well, that didn't work for our family, but usually it's because, one kid has something scheduled at this time. And so you just can't schedule the same thing at the exact same time, or you have to ask for help, or, there's some things you literally just cannot make work because it just logistically wouldn't make sense, but we still try. Sometimes we still try. And it's tough. So I want us to counter that fear of I'm not doing enough for my kids as a parent with, I can still do enough, be enough. My kids can be enough, still do enough, and have some balance and have some room to breathe and not light your nervous system on fire. It's just so intense. And when we're hustling out the door just to go to school, like telling your kids 30 times put their shoes on, it creates this really heightened alert system inside their bodies and inside your own body. And we're not taking care of that part of us when we're just kind of getting through. In no particular order, I'm going to offer 5 suggestions. So first, transition activities. And what I mean is, I'll give you examples. So let's start with the beginning of the day. When you wake up in the morning, what are the things or the part of your routine, the activities that you do that kind of transition you into your day? It could be as simple as just getting out of bed. Are you making your bed? Are you brushing your teeth right away? What are the things you do to wake yourself up? Do you come downstairs and eat breakfast? Do you go back upstairs and brush your teeth after breakfast? Or do you like to have it all done before you leave the house? Do you drink a glass of water? Just think of those small little, for yourself and your kids, what are those transition activities? That's in the morning, right? But this is also for after school. What do your kids do? What do you do when they get home from school? Is it straight into TV? Is it do your homework first? Is it go read a book? Is it go be quiet? Is it have a snack? Is it a combination of those things? But what are those transition activities from the thing you did all day, which is work perhaps, or school perhaps, whatever the activity is that took up the majority of your day? How do you transition into the next part of your day so your nervous system can kind of follow along and be like, oh, okay, I know where we're at now. I can do this because I know this activity. It helps signal to my body that we're now moving into the next part of the day. We're so overstimulated. Full-time jobs, full-time work at school, you're overstimulated. And then if you come home and you overstimulate yourself more with scrolling or video games or TV or whatever, you're not really giving your brain that signal that, okay, let's take a break from where we just were and we can move into the next thing. This is especially important going to sleep. I can't even tell you how many, if not almost all of my clients have had this conversation with me at least once about what they do before they go to bed. I watch TV and fall asleep, or I scroll until I go to sleep. I have a whole episode. I think it was episode 40. I wrote it down. 47, I think, back in February. I did an episode about how we're completely addicted to our phones. We don't even realize we're taking it to the bathroom. We're sleeping with it under our pillow. We're so overstimulated. So the quieter transition activities, and I say quieter on purpose, is because you are trying to quiet your mind and quiet your nervous system and tell it that you're safe and you're moving into the next thing, especially when you're going to bed. So just an example, instead of brushing your teeth, getting into bed, scrolling, then turning off the light and going to sleep, put your phone away, then brush your teeth, then get in bed, then read a book or do a meditation. Let your mind calm down and stop being stimulated, because right up to the second before you go to bed, whoa, that's a lot of busyness in your mind to take with you to bed. And this episode, the theme is let's calm our nervous system down. Let's not do this cut it close. Let's not do this cram things into our schedule. And our brains, our minds need to chill sometimes. They do. They need to reset. That is partly why sleep is a thing that human beings absolutely must have. Dudes, even superheroes have to stop moving sometimes. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so number 1, have a quieter transition activity through different parts of your day. Number 2, say no to the extras. I like this example. A really good friend of mine, mom of 4, you know who you are. She is the go-to. She says yes, and she masterfully completes tasks that someone with all the time on their hands couldn't even do. And so she's become this yes person, this go-to person with 4 children, a really, important job. It's a full plate, responsibilities to deal with, and still is the yes. So, and she knows this about herself, but you don't always have to say yes to the extras. So my encouragement in this one is think about your schedule week by week, day by day, whatever it may be, and think, do I have room for anything more? And if the answer is no, if it just seems like a lot, I know sometimes it feels like the rude or mean thing to do, but you can tell somebody no. Hey, thanks for thinking of me, but I can't make that work this week, but maybe another time. There are different ways you can say no without feeling like an asshole, but you don't always have to say yes to the extras. Do what needs to be done. Do what is a priority. Do what has been asked of you, months ago, and you have to hold up to that. Commitments are important, but you don't have to say yes to the extras. And you know what I mean. If things come up and they're added to the plate. I got asked to bring a snack for my daughter's soccer game, and I had a whole other thing on my schedule for the same day. And just making it to the store when I'm driving everywhere and trying to make that work, it just felt like too much. And my body alerted me, no. And so kindly I said, hey, I would love to. Ask me next time, but hopefully somebody else can step up on this one. I can't make that happen this time. I just couldn't. It was too much. I would have felt flustered and annoyed, and I would not have been in the right headspace if I tried to say yes to that. So no need to say yes to the extras. And along with that, number 3 is space things out. If you can plan ahead for the sake of your nervous system, please do. Look at your week ahead. Look at the things that are happening with your kids. We look at our calendar every Sunday and we think about what we have to do and what we can put in our calendar, what we can take away, how we can organize it. But when you kind of spread things out and you give yourself time between activities, it's a little easier to stay focused. And something that I cannot stress enough, write this down as a little tip: focus rather than hurry. If you are, I love the shoe tying example. If you're trying to get your kids to tie their shoes and you're like, come on, tie your shoes, get your shoes on, shoes, wear your shoes, put your shoes on. If you're saying that over and over again and you're adding this flustered panic, hurry to the narrative of that moment, they're going to feel flustered, panic, hurried, and they might not tie it correctly. It might take longer. Change hurry up to let's stay focused. And that's with anything. And if you give yourself more time, more space, and, an extra 15 minutes even, an extra 5 minutes can even make a difference to get through the next parts of your day, of the next parts of the calendar, especially when you're starting the day and getting out the door, when we're kind of sleepy and trying to get ourselves together. Let's stay focused instead of let's hurry up. It does make a difference. Give it a try, but you do have to give yourself a little time. But the more you're able to stay focused on one task at a time, the smoother it's going to go. And actually, sometimes the faster it ends up going anyways. Like, that's why we get so stressed out. We're like, hurry up, because they're getting flustered and then they mess it up and then they have to start over. And so it's too much. Our nervous system is like, hold on. All right, number 4, plan for your downtime. Open some slots on your calendar purposefully. Like, leave space. Don't fill every second of every day. It's okay. You're still enough. You're still worthy. You're still amazing. You're still highly productive if you give yourself space in your calendar without filling it. And then when you come to that space, instead of worrying about the kids going off and playing video games or you sitting down to scroll or being lazy or not getting that thing done or all these judgments we put on ourselves, all these comparisons we put on ourselves from social media, et cetera, instead of doing that, come up with a grab bag. I have given this tip. Here's another tip. Write this down. I've given this tip to many clients, where you write down 3, 4, 5 activities that would really do well in open space. A nap, read a book, go for a walk, go outside, play outside, play with an animal, whatever it is. Come up with, some things you could go after. So you're not like, oh my gosh, we have an hour of nothing, or we have a whole day where we don't have plans. Let it be. Let it breathe. Maybe you do nothing for a little while. Maybe you do sit down and watch a movie, but maybe if you need to make sure it's something where your mind actually disconnects, your body actually chills out, and you're not filling it with nonsense in your mind and judging yourself for it, come up with some things that you could be like, let's go look at the list of things we've put down for moments like these and pick something. As a family, that'd be great. As someone who lives on their own, who's constantly feeling like they need to connect and be around people, maybe that's your alone time that you've needed all week, right? So give yourself that. Open some slots in your calendar. Plan for some downtime. All right, and lastly, number 5, listen to your body. Listen to your body. If you're in that cutting it close hustle moment, it's too busy. Let's do that thing at 4, but maybe we can squeeze in that thing at 5:15. I'll pick up the kids or we'll take them from the it's a lot. If your body is alerting you, I am overwhelmed, I am feeling panicky, I am feeling hurried, this is too much. If your body if your nervous system is saying, whoa, you don't have to override it. You don't have to tell it, hush up, we can do this. There are moments like that we come across as human beings that we have to step up and deal with. But generally speaking, you can listen to your body. And if you're having one of those moments in the midst of things you already said yes to, you already committed to it, you're already in the middle of it, fine. But then pull yourself aside. Give yourself some time to assess, reassess, reflect. Maybe on a Sunday you think, how did last week go? What could I take off my plate? What needs to come back on my plate? Where could I find some space and balance next week? Where could I put in a day or even just an hour of downtime and rest for myself? And you can assess and reassess and plan as you go. But you're allowed to listen to your body. It is going to speak to you. It will tell you what is up as long as you pause long enough to pay attention to it. And it can help you, be your sidekick and help you plan things. If you know that it's going to be too much to do 2 parties on one day, just pick one. If your kid gets invited to a birthday party for a kid in their class they're not super close to, you don't have to go. You can say no. Thank you so much for the invitation. We're busy that day. Even if you're not actually busy, it's okay to say no. So let's go through this short list and then I will send you on your way, hopefully relieved to know that we're all kind of facing this and we all can change it as well. So number 1, choose some quiet or more mellow transition activities between parts of your day to help your nervous system chill out and transition into the next thing. Say no to extras. There's no need to put more on your plate than feels manageable. Number 3, space things out. Plan for the sake of your nervous system and for your kids. Try focusing rather than rushing. Number 4, plan for some downtime or some open slots on your calendar. And number 5, listen to your body. Your needs matter because you matter. Hope this helped. Share it with a friend. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Needy and Normal podcast. If you liked today's episode, please rate and review the show and send your favorite episode to a friend. If you're interested in coaching, visit ablifecoaching.com. I am accepting new clients now and initial discovery sessions are complimentary.